jet you just saw taking off is the Rafale, considered one of the most sophisticated combat aircraft Europe has ever produced. And France has just promised a number of them to Ukraine, which will make Putin absolutely furious. It all started at a meeting between Presidents Macron and Zelensky, and this meeting didn't take place just anywhere. It was a specific location in Paris, a fort called Mont Valérien. During World War II, the Nazis executed over 1,000 French resistance fighters here, people who fought for their country's freedom against an occupying force. Macron took Zelensky there for a reason. He aimed to show Ukraine's current struggle mirrors France's struggle 80 years ago. An invaded country, a people resisting, a nation fighting for its own existence. And it was right after that visit that the two leaders signed an agreement. On November 17, 2025, at the Vélizy-Villacoublay Air Base on the outskirts of Paris, France and Ukraine sealed a 10-year security pact. But something in that pact caught everyone's attention. The sale of up to 100 Rafale F-4 fighter jets and 8 next-generation SAMP-T air defense systems. To give you an idea of the size of this commitment, 100 Rafales represent almost half of the entire fleet that France itself currently operates. This isn't France passing on old equipment it no longer uses. This is France committing a significant part of its own military capability. And that raises an important question. Why? Why is France making such a risky deal with Ukraine? And the answer to that question isn't so obvious. I need to tell you something about the Rafale, because this isn't an ordinary fighter jet. It's classified as omni-role. Look, most fighter jets are multi-role, which means they can do several things, but only one at a time. The Rafale is different. It can be hunting enemy aircraft in the sky and, at the same time, attacking ground targets with guided bombs. All of that in the same flight. For Ukraine, which has limited resources and needs to make every piece of equipment count, that makes all the difference. But technical capability is only part of the story. The real value of the Rafale lies in the solution it offers for a specific problem that Ukraine has been facing for months. Ukrainian pilots have been constantly threatened by Russian MiG-31 fighter jets, which stay inside Russian territory. Far from the front line, firing long-range R-37M missiles. These missiles can travel up to 300 kilometers. Ukraine can't fight back because it simply doesn't have missiles with that range. Ukrainian pilots have to fly closer to the threat, which puts them at huge risk. They're in an uneven fight. The Rafale changes that. Along with the plane comes the Meteor missile, and the Meteor is special. The reason most missiles of this type work like this: they burn all their fuel in the first few seconds and then just glide to the target. This means that as the distance increases, they lose energy and become easier to avoid. The Meteor is different. It has a ramjet engine that keeps accelerating throughout the entire flight. It doesn't lose energy. It maintains speed and maneuverability until it hits the target. This creates what experts call a no-escape zone, an area where the enemy simply can't get away. With the Meteor, Ukrainian pilots can finally reach the Russian fighters that are firing from inside Russian territory. For the first time since the start of the war, they have a real chance to level this fight in the air. But surviving in the air isn't just about having better missiles, it's also about not being detected. And this is where things get That's where the Spectra system comes in. Most planes have external electronic warfare pods hanging from their wings. Rafale doesn't. The Spectra system is integrated directly into the fuselage. It detects enemy radars and emits a counter signal that cancels out the detection. It's a kind of electronic invisibility. This allows the Rafale to fly along the edges of Russian defense zones, like the range of the S-400 system, without being easily detected. For a country that needs to approach heavily defended territories, that's the difference between completing the mission and being shot down. Now, let's talk about air defense, because there's no point in having amazing aircraft if your country is being bombed every day. Ukraine lives under constant attack. Drones, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles. Russia launches hundreds of drones every month. In October 2025, there were 1,500. Ukraine managed to intercept only half. The country is desperate for more air defense systems. Zelensky has been asking for this for years. And this is where the surface-to-air missile platform, Pact comes in. This is the most advanced air defense system that Europe produces. The version that Ukraine will receive is the next generation, meaning systems that are still in development. Ukraine will receive some of the first units to come off the production line. This shows the level of commitment from France. They are not giving leftovers. They are sharing cutting-edge technology. The big advantage of the surface-to-air missile platform, Spectra, is its radar. It has 360-degree coverage. Compare that to the American Patriot system, which only covers 120 degrees. When Russia launches swarm attacks with drones coming from multiple directions at the same time, having full coverage is crucial. In addition, the Aster 30 missile, which this French system uses, has a range of 150 kilometers against ballistic missiles. The Patriot has between 60 and 90. That's a significant difference. But here's the question everyone is asking. How is Ukraine going to pay for all this? Why? What do you think? You, or not? Ukraine doesn't have that money. So, how is this going to work? The answer is brilliant and also a bit ironic. Since the beginning of the invasion, Europe has frozen 190 billion euros in Russian assets. Most of it is in banks in Belgium. That money is just sitting there earning interest. And the proposal is to use those profits, the interest that the Russian assets are generating, to finance the purchase of weapons. There's even a structure being discussed in the European Union called the reparations loan, which could mobilize up to 140 billion euros. In other words, Putin will finance the weapons that will be used against him. It's almost poetic. But this agreement isn't just about military equipment. It's about something much bigger. France isn't doing this alone. There's a coalition of 34 countries, led by France and the United Kingdom. The official name is Coalition of the Willing. And do you know where the headquarters of this coalition was established? In Mont Valérien, the same place where French resistance fighters were executed. The symbolism behind this is not accidental. The message is clear. Europe is preparing to defend its own borders with or without the United States. This is European strategic autonomy in practice. France has already been training Ukrainian pilots since March 2024 at the Cognac Air Base. Initially, these pilots were being prepared to fly American F-16s. Now, the focus has shifted to the Rafale and the Mirage 2000. France has also invested nearly 800 million euros to expand its training capacity, because planes without pilots are useless. And training a pilot to master a 4.5-generation fighter takes 18 to 24 months. And here's the part that a lot of people don't realize. The Rafales won't arrive tomorrow. The initial operational capability is scheduled for 2029. The full program will run until 2035. Some planes may come from the French stock earlier, but most will be built specifically for Ukraine over the next 10 years. This means that this agreement is not about winning today's war. It's about ensuring that Ukraine has an air force capable of defending the country in the coming decades. France is betting that Ukraine will not just survive. It's betting that Ukraine will become one of the biggest military powers in Europe. And that bet says a lot about how Europe sees the future. For decades, European defense depended on the United States, on NATO, and on decisions made in Washington. But this agreement shows a shift. Europe is building its own capacity to act, to protect its neighbors, to shape the continent's security without waiting for permission. If this agreement works, Ukraine will have one of the most modern air forces in Europe by the mid-2030s. And the best part, it will be integrated with NATO standards, equipped with cutting-edge technology, and capable of deterring future threats. History will judge whether Europe made the right decision, whether the gamble was worth it. If Mont Valérien, the place where French resistance fighters died fighting for freedom, really became the symbol of a new era of European defense. But for now, one thing is certain. Putin did not expect this. And now, he has plenty of reasons to be worried. And you, what do you think? Should Europe invest more in its own defense or continue relying on the United States? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you enjoyed this content, share it with someone who is also interested in geopolitics, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. See you next time.